quick. Some people will take 20 minutes and check off 2 items. The second question I find is asking then, if we only had time to deal with 3 issues, Angie, can you take a look at it again and pick out the 3 that would be the most valuable for you? Any version of that. Again, reason for that is some people just go through real quick, don't give it much thought. And since we're in the reflective thinking business, it helps when we get some input from them.
Awesome.
Okay, the I is important, so they checked off number 3, and I say, tell me about it. And so you'll chat typically from 30 seconds to 3 minutes about it. So it'll give me a feel for where you're coming from. How are you interpreting those words? What context are you interpreting that statement? The importance then I ask on a scale of 1 to 10, 1, 2, 3 being sort of nice to know, kind of interesting, 8, 9, 10 could make a significant difference too, and then whatever your primary benefit is that you're offering, or the more specific benefit in that statement, what number would you give that?
Okay.
And what I discovered is some people will go on and they'll tell you they're bleeding severely about the head and shoulders over that item, and you're thinking, oh my God, this is it. This is the whole program's around this one. And then you ask them on a scale of 1 to 10, where is that? And they'll say, oh, it's about a 3. And it lets you know how they deal with things, i.e. everything's an explosion, right? And we're just looking for the nuclear fallout in order to help them. Then the third question, CIA, the A's application. Think of time. If we met 6 months ago and we had this conversation and we took care of that situation 6 months ago, how might things be different today? I'm speaking a little bit quickly because Andrews is saying that he is recording this, and so we'll find out if he really is or not. Oh, because
Thumbs up from Anders.
I just realized that my backup, I didn't show my backup audio recording, so look at that. Oh, good. So everything disappeared. We're back. Okay. So we got a recorder. So if we talked 6 months ago and we took care of that issue, number 3 for you, how might things be different today? I find that answer is as a catch-all, and again, it gives people a chance to sound off, typically 30 seconds to 3 minutes in that range. And I say, fine. And then I go, okay, let's go to the next item you checked off. Number 7. Then just simply repeat. Can you tell me about number 7? Good. On a scale of 1 to 10, where would you place number 7? Now, in my business, what I find is if it's not an 8, 9, or 10, if you don't have your insights in front of you, let me suggest you pull those insights out, because maybe I'll come up with another one you can add to it. Okay. In fact, if you hear an insight I didn't cover in the class, feel free to let us know that we hadn't covered that one. And that way I know you're reviewing your insights quickly and letting what I'm secretly doing is helping you get emotionally involved in an idea. Okay. All right, thank you. Who would like to ask the next question after that, saying, oh, good luck, Tom? Okay, sorry. I think my initial question was, share a good news story with us, or do you have a question about the homework? I think I gave you an option. So who would like to go next? Congratulations. Statements? Yeah. So sometimes the case when I don't need as many. as as the 15. Could you do it with fewer than 15? Is that your question? Uh, yes. And rather than thinking of a particular number, my experience has been as you do it, you'll discover other questions as you do in a conversation. For example, if you met a you if someone sent you a lead and you said, Tom, I'm going to have an hour conversation with Betty, and if I said to you, good, tell me all the questions you're going to ask her. You say, whoa, I don't know what all the questions are. I mean, there may be 1,000 questions I could ask her, but depending on what's relevant to her would let me know where to go next. So think of the audit, think of your audit as a process that all you have is the first draft right now. Your third draft may be significantly better, or it might just need some fine tuning. What I've discovered is that we often won't know that until you've given it 2 or 3 times, and then you'll see it. You'll see it because what will happen is, the mind remembers through association. So somebody will mention something about colors, and you've never talked about colors. In the audit, you didn't mention colors, but in part of your program, colors is significant for whatever reason, that variable. And it'll remind you, oh, yeah, colors. And you look and you say, geez, I don't have any statements around colors. And there's 3 major concepts around colors I deal with in my program, so I need to find out if these are relevant to my future client, to the person I'm speaking to. Aware of not having my audit. Yes, yes. Oh, the I, the you give me an example of trying to wake us up. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, yes. Okay. Yes, that's been my experience. Think of it as a developmental tool. Think of it as a fun piece to uh, help you communicate more effectively with your future client. What you want to do is understand her. My language is you want to focus on understanding her pain, passion, and priorities. What does that look like? Well, you put some items down. It's like a menu. You're taking her out to lunch for the first time. Well, we don't know. Well, we know that you're a specialist in Chinese food, so your menu's around Chinese food. But there are, within Chinese food, there are also major categories, some of which you don't touch. Um, we don't know what that's going to look like until we find out what she's interested in. So we know here are the 3 things you do really well, and so your audit starts gets built around those 3 primary areas. And what you discover is they'll start asking you about this 4th area. In the beginning, you'll say, geez, I don't really know much about that. And by the time the 3rd person asks you about it, you'll have read a couple articles, and you'll say, yeah, I sort of do that here. And by changing things, I could add that 4th area. And now you start developing some other statements around that 4th area. So what will happen is your audit will build over time. And you may well drop some items over time, either because you're bored with them or because too many of your competitors are doing the same thing. And it feels too vanilla, if you will. So you want to leave that out and put in a couple of spices into the audit. When people do the audit, I yet have somebody say, gosh, you didn't ask me anything about this. What they say is, boy, these 3 areas, I'm really looking forward to this. I think this will really help the team. Or I know this is really going to help me as a member of the team. I'm looking forward to us doing something in that area. And then I'll say something profound like that. I'll see if I can make something up between now and then. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Good news, and/or congratulations on that good news. That's terrific. Nice light you turned on. It was a nice difference in your face. What kind of light, can I ask you, did you use? Very nice. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Looking good.
Is
All
that a
right.
window? Is that a window in your second floor office, Anderson? Penthouse?
Yeah.
You can see my house from there. No. Since I'm speaking, I'll go next.
Thank you.
I did this. I did the opportunity audit based on um, leadership, speaking of leadership, and those type of things that I talk on. But I thought I should probably make one for high school, middle school principals, an opportunity audit. And I really ran into some, I couldn't get anywhere with it because it's, you know, do you want your kids to have higher self-esteem? Do you want less bullying in your school? Do you want kids to be kinder to each other? And that's it.
Well,
You know, I couldn't, I had some real trouble with it, to be honest, moving forward with an opportunity audit for the speaking that I do mostly, which is kind of strange, but.
okay, and not unusual. Part of it is because we're so close to it. So are you saying they seem too vanilla, they seem too obvious to ask, or those four cover everything?
A combination of that. They do seem very, yeah, they want I mean, you don't ask a school principal, do you want your kids to have higher self-esteem and do better in life? You know, there's not a lot of principals that say no.
Okay. You're using the you a lot, so that's why I'm putting a chess, because
Right.
principals won't talk. Okay, thank you. So say that last part again, Greg. Sorry, sir.
Okay, let me reword that.
I like it. Thank you, sir.
When I say,
yes,
when I ask
yes,
an obvious question,
yes,
like you want higher self-esteem in your students so they do better in life, a principal is always going to answer yes. They can't, even if they don't care, they can't say no.
good. So let me turn that around. If I was asked that, if I was going to go in and talk to the principal now, and I want to ask them about self-esteem and school, how would you suggest I ask that? What might I ask? Because you do this all the time. You're very close to it, and I know you ask a more powerful question than that. You're just not thinking of it right now. But sometimes it's easier if we try to give advice to somebody else than it comes to us.
Do you want to? Do you want to? And I'm speaking to them, so that's why I say you. Yeah. Do you want to give your students the tools to succeed in life? Do you want to help raise their self-esteem? Do you want a presentation that will be memorable because they're involved?
Okay. Now, my guess is that's a little bit better, but my guess is when you're on the phone with somebody and you're having a conversation, that's not what you say. What do you say, or what do you ask around self-esteem?
I'm really not sure what I ask. I'd have to be on the phone with the principal. Just getting on the phone with the principal is a task in itself for me. But once I get through, right now what I do is offer, I'm coming to your area. I do a presentation, use magic illusion, sleight of hand. It captures the student's attention so that they pay attention. They stay involved the whole time. They can't look away because they want to know how it's going to end. And they learn in spite of themselves. So I'm giving them all of the, none of the features and all of the benefits. Okay. No, I'm giving them all of that. Anyway, I'm doing it wrong. And so I said, for high schools, I have one on self-esteem that I refer to as erase your limits. That can help them. Actual tools they can use, the steps they can actually take themselves. Not just a hoorah, but a presentation that they walk away from with actual tools they can put into use today to help raise their own self-esteem.
And the principal says what?
That sounds great. How much? We only have $8,000 in our budget. Can you come for that?
All right. So
It says send me an email. 90% of the time he says send me an email. So.
Oh, okay, good. We'll deal with that in just a second. Thanks. Do you have a recording of a conversation you've had with the principal?
No, I do not.
Okay. So here's your first homework assignment. Okay. I'd like you to start recording all your conversations. To make it easy, deciding which one. If you're talking, I want it recorded. And this goes for everyone. And when you start recording all your conversations. The reason for that is that our wisdom is right there, but we're so close to it, we don't appreciate it. And if we don't appreciate it, we can't leverage it. And we can't fine-tune it. But when you hear yourself, you'll say, oh, geez, that was good. You say, I didn't realize I said that. Sometimes you'll say, oh, actually, I say that a little bit better. I didn't say it this way that time. I said it the other way. And next time I say it, I'm gonna say it a little bit differently. So you'll discover. So what we're working on is your self-awareness. So you'll begin to see, become more aware of what you're saying, and you'll get to hear the reaction. It might be, oh boy, that's good. They'll say, oh, you know, we really need that. Oh, that makes a difference here. So let's go back to the things you just said to me, and let me give you some alternatives. And so one way of doing that is by thinking about how could you change what you're saying into questions. So instead of saying what you just said to me, and I'm giving you 2 sets, so let me start again. When we have the same conversation we just had, and tell me what you typically say to the principal, but for each of those ideas, I want you to turn those into questions instead of statements. So we're on the phone, I'm a principal, and one of the things you say to me is what?
Could you use a presentation that would help to raise the self-esteem of your students? Raise your students' self-esteem, help them to help them to be more successful in life. Would you like a presentation like that?
Lots of ways, yeah. Miss Principal, is there value in upping the self-esteem of your school? Is there any value in raising the self-esteem of your school? Oh yeah, we had a death in the school 3 weeks ago, or we had an accident, or no, we're the national champions in everything. We don't have that issue. Well,
I've had
we don't have that issue. Then we don't want to talk about that. Then we don't bring up self-esteem anymore. We don't argue the point. We go, okay, thanks. Let's go to the next one. Right? We want to find out from their perception what the pain, passion, and priority looks like. And my experience has been we all have an opinion around these things that we're close to. We think we know what the answer is. We might know 75% or 35% of the answer, but our job is to help them say out loud their perception of the answer, because we want to discover if they're not leading in these areas, then they don't need us to come in and talk about it. Okay, then we'll say thanks. We'll ask for referral and move on to the next call. But for the most part, have you ever gone to a school that said to you that when you finished said, we didn't really need that. Our self-esteem was high enough. No, right? My guess is they said to you, well, that made a difference. Right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
The difference is I want them to say it out loud as opposed to you saying it out loud. And that's the value of the audit. Well, Tom, some people say to me, Tom, I could just do it by asking them 25 questions. Can we agree? Most people won't give us time to ask them 25 questions on the phone. They're too busy. But when we say, gosh, Mary, this takes 90 seconds and it's one question followed by a series of statements. Can you take a quick look at it and let me know if there's something here that might be of value for you, your faculty, and or your students? Take you 90 seconds. We do it right now. I'll hit send. I'll send it to you. You can take a look at it and you can see if there's any value. If there's no value, we'll pass. I'll call you in 12 months. My experience has been most people want to be nice, and 90 seconds, all right, let me take a look at it. Self-esteem, maybe, yeah. Okay, yeah, and George did refer you. Yeah, sure.
So you send that while you're on the phone with them. Okay. That was going to be one of my questions.
Okay, I'll take back the answer till you ask. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Um, and sometimes by sending it even before the phone call can make a difference. Sending it could cause sending it and asking them if they want to have a conversation around it. Some of those will call you or send you an email back saying, yeah, here's when I'm available to talk. You'll discover there'll be 3 or 4 basic approaches that work for most people, and we'll discover what they are.
Okay. Now let's move to the second part because they've asked me to send them an email.
Okay.
Sometimes they ask me to send me an email, and I really believe it's because that's the easiest way. They can just delete it. They don't have to speak to me, and they're off the phone with me. But other times, they don't make these decisions themselves. They are the final decision maker, but they want to talk to the school counselor, or they got to go to the school advisory council, parent advisory council, and get money. And so they have to pitch it there. So there are different reasons they ask for that email.
So would it be helpful if we asked, geez, Mary, can you let me know the value for you of me sending you the email?
I mean, they usually say send me an email, so I'll share it with the staff. That's usually or I'll share it with the BAC. They usually say even why, Tom, that they're doing it.
Okay.
I added
Sorry, they'll say why. They'll also give the why. Is that what you said?
Yes.
I missed it. Oh, okay.
They quite often give the why.
Okay. So so where I'm coming from, what I want to do is to get them somewhat emotionally involved in the idea before I let them go. So I'll do that by asking them a question. And the question might be something like, Mary, absolutely, I can send that. And let me check. This is the email you want me to send to you. Terrific. Quick question if I can, Mary. After you have that conversation, where do you want to go from there? Or can you tell me the typical decision-making process from there? You're going to talk to the board. You're going to talk to your colleague. You're going to talk to your boss. Tell me what happens at that point. They're going to say something like, well, you tell me. They typically will say what if you ask that question?
We'll send it to the next Parent Advisory Council, and they'll make a decision whether or not they have the funds for that and whether or not they can pay for it. We don't have enough funds, so they have to pay for it. Or we're going to run it by the next staff meeting and see if it's something that the teachers are interested in.
Okay, so 2 things. So one is do they have enough funds? They'll let us know if they have enough funds. And so I might ask Mary if they knew the faculty thought this was an A priority. Is there a better chance they could come up with the funds if the faculty thought this was a C priority?
Yeah, that makes sense. If they think it's a top priority, then obviously the staff is going to be in favor of it.
And there's a better chance they could find the funds if it's an A priority than if it's a C priority, or they can make a stronger case. So I have a tool which will allow us to clarify if this is an A priority or a C priority. The tool takes about 90 seconds for you to fill out. We can do that right now. And then if in your mind it's an A priority, that we can do is I can set this tool up so you can have your whole faculty take this, and now you can take it to the board and say of the 70 of the 30 faculty, 25 of them, 80% see this as a priority. Would that make it easier for you to build a case to bring someone in to talk about this subject?
I like all that.
So
I hope Anders is getting this recorded because I can't make notes fast enough. But it's always been from my earliest selling, Tom, at 14 years old, trying to get people to start taking the Winnipeg Tribune, which went on a business. I really don't think it was all just me, but my bad salesmanship. But I would pitch it, and I would sell them on the whole idea, standing at the door, and I get them interested in, well, you get this, and my delivery, and I show you all this. And then the wife or the husband, whoever's at the door, would turn around and say, honey, do you want to take the Tribune? It's like, no, bring them here. I want to be able to sell it. I have to give them all the benefits. And that's what happens to me, I feel, when somebody says, that sounds great, send us an email, we'll take it to the staff meeting, and the staff are not engaged at all, and basically they hear, got a guy who can come in and do a self-esteem seminar for our students, I think we should bring him in. And that's the entire sales pitch. I mean, teachers are like, well, no, I don't want to take it at a class time, or yeah, it's a good time for us to slack off and not have to do any teaching, one or the other.
And my experience has been whatever the industry, the key is to have the decision makers complete the audit. Ideally, it's one-on-one. But the next step is to have them fill it out as a team. So I have the audit on Dropbox, and I send a link. So if you're the principal, and I say to you, can you help me out? How do you decide what speaker you bring in, what topic you bring in? So you're now telling me what's important to you. So now I know from all the things I could talk to you about, which piece that I do is going to meet one of the needs that's important to you. And then I say, so you'll bring in a speaker if a majority of the teachers think that topic is worthwhile. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Or the way in which that topic is handled is worthwhile. John, I've got some other clients that felt the same way, so I've put together this tool. I developed this tool. It takes about 90 seconds to complete and allows your teachers to fill it out anonymously. And then we can look at it and we can say, geez, only 10% of the teachers are interested, or 90% of the teachers are interested. If you knew if that was 10% or 90%, would that make it easier for you to make a decision or make a recommendation or to find the money?
Tom, could you repeat the last 30 seconds? You froze up and I heard nothing. You looked like this.
Okay. Oh. All right, and I'm not sure why that's happening. All right, so Mr. Principal, if I've had other principals say the same thing. So I developed a tool which would enable you to discover if 10% of your teachers have an interest in this topic, or whether 90% of your teachers have an interest in this subject. It takes about 90 seconds of their time for you to get a true reading of where they are, as opposed to just saying to them, by the way, you guys interested in X? My experience has been that doesn't really give people a chance to think it through. I can simply send you a link. If you tell me this is going to be on your next agenda item for your next meeting, I'll set up a link, a private page. They can fill it anonymously and answer one question. What do you need to? And then whatever the rest of your question is. I said, what we'll do, you and I will have a follow-up conversation, and based on the results, we can book a time, we can talk about budget, we can talk about alternatives. And if they tell us they're not interested, then I'll pass, and I'll talk to you. We'll have a conversation. I'll let you know I'll be calling you next year to see how your year's been. And we'll see if anything has changed. And I'll say, does that feel fair to you? How does that sound?
That sounds fabulous. I have an entire new script. Not yet. I don't have an entire new script. I have to now create an opportunity audit for those programs. But yes, that if I could get it into the teachers' hands and get them to at least take a look at it, then it's more than just a yay or nay at a staff meeting. At the end of a staff meeting, they will understand.
Yeah, and if you need a step in between, it might be, John, the audit has two parts to it. It has a key question followed by a series of statements. And either they check off the statement or they don't. Can I give you an example? And then you read the key question and you read the first statement. Say, John, is that an issue at your school? Yes, no, yes. Okay. So you want me to check it? Yeah, check it. Okay. Here's the second one. You read the statement. Would that be an issue at your school? No, I don't think so. Okay, so we don't check that. Can I read the third one? Yeah. Here's the third one. And now they've checked 2 or 3 out of the first 5. You say, now, John, there's 12 or there's 18 or there's 27 statements. Can you see by sending this over, we get to find out, you get to demonstrate that you care what your teachers think about these issues. And if your teachers say, from their perspective, this is important, you'll make arrangements to bring in an expert who will customize a program based on these issues. Tell me, does that help you with the relationship with your staff? You're telling me because you're a new principal there, you want to strengthen the relationship, or you've been there a long time and you're saying they don't listen to you anymore. Might this make a difference in terms of you demonstrating that you're sincere about wanting to help them do a better job? Or does this remind you about why you took that position to begin with? I mean, why did you say yes to the principalship? I need the money. Terrific. Besides, you need the money. Well, I want to make a difference I want to leverage my experience. I want to help other teachers. I've had other clients have said the same thing, and they've said to me, I'm glad you've come in because you've allowed me another way in which I could demonstrate I can leverage my experience and I could influence the thinking of my staff. I can make a difference where, one, they recognize I do care about them, I get to demonstrate it, and 2, they feel more confident and more competent in terms of dealing with their students, because I know that a lot of them, that's what they want to do. So you're helping them think it through a step at a time. You're showing them the value, the potential value in this process. Now, some won't want to play. That's okay. You can't handle everybody anyway, right? You don't have enough time. But I think my experience has been you'll find more people want to play by using this approach than by not using it.
This is great stuff. I can't write fast enough, as I said. So thanks so much, Tom.
Okay. You are welcome. Thank you. Did you have a good news story for us? Since it was a week ago.
I got some great advice from Canada's sales coach on how to deal with. It's very recent, by the way. It's.
Mr.
No, I don't think I have anything great coming. That's a wonderful thing. I'm almost ready for a talk that I was assigned for Friday on a topic that I've never spoken on before, and they asked me to speak, and I said sure, and then they assigned a topic to me, and it's not something I've ever spoken on, but I feel pretty good that I put together a why you should listen to me and what steps you should take when you're finished half-hour keynote for Dinner with a Theme. It's part of the Chinese Christian Business Association, and the fact that I'm Chinese is what put me on the board, and I don't look it, do I? That's somehow I'm a member and I'm on the board. I don't care why, but I will be sharing on Friday. So that's good news that I put something together that I think is actually worthwhile for them. For the first while as I started to write, I didn't think I had anything worthwhile. So. And
you do remind me, there's some people you should stop after so many questions. So, okay. I mean, thank you, Greg. I appreciate that. Very cool, my friend. And I'm looking forward to you recording. You'll be recording the conversation. You do your presentation tomorrow, will you?
Yes, I am going to put a camera up. Yeah.
Oh, good. So you have that written down in front of you, do you? That I'll now record every conversation, every conversation that's one, but also record every presentation I give. You don't have to. It doesn't mean you have to show it to anybody. Okay, but to record it, real value. And recording doesn't necessarily mean video. If it's not convenient or okay to do video, you'll take the audio. The audio. Especially for what you do, you're more of a local boy. Do you drive a lot from presentation to presentation?
Yeah, anything within 1,000, 1,500 kilometers I drive to. Yeah.
Okay. So can you see if you had 5 recordings of your last 5 presentations in the car by playing those? And we'll talk about what to look for when listening to your recording. So you listen, you go through a whole recording just listening for one concept to see where you made use of that concept and how you could then fine-tune that one concept. And you see you can use that as study time. Yeah. Okay, I'll stop. Thank you, sir. Who would like to go next? Who has some a good news story or an update and or a question? Thanks, Greg.
Tom, can you outline sort of what we can expect in this call? I thought it would be a 1-hour call and that we'd have a number of, I don't know. Tell me what this is that we're doing right now.
This is Tom Confused. Yeah, thank you. This is different. When my technology didn't work last week, I got bummed out, and then when I couldn't get it to work this week, Webinar Jam is a software that uses Google as a backend, and it just won't play on my computer. It won't talk to me. It freezes, and I can't figure out why. Angela saved the day by doing this for us. It threw me off. What I plan to do is to give you an overview and of how to build a referral-based business in term plus 3 primary steps that I've taken 5 years to develop and 30 years of practice. And then I thought, you know what, it's been a week and a half since 2 weeks since I've talked to you. Let me find out. You guys were kind enough to do some homework. Let me see if you have some questions about the homework you did to see if I can move that up a notch. And while I'm doing that, I'm giving a review of the main concepts we talked about before. At least I hope I am.
Okay, I just wasn't sure whether this was a series of 4. I don't know why I had 4 in my mind, or this is a one-off and a recap of what we did. And
thank you. My game plan was if you guys got some value from this today, to make the offer to offer it a couple more times.
Oh, great. So that helps to put, yeah.
And the bottom line is that if that becomes valuable, then I have a longer program, which I'll be making available.
Okay. That helps.
Sorry, go ahead.
It helps in case someone doesn't get a chance to ask their question today, that can be something that they take over to the next time, or as things come up, how would they, bring that forward.
Thank you. And we started 9 o'clock, so we've got almost an hour. Is that correct?
That's what I booked here, and Angela I think has to leave at 10, and
Angela has to leave at 10. My initial plan was to tell you I'll be available for 90 minutes this morning, if for those that want to stay longer, and since we're recording it, assuming our recorder is going to stay with us for a while. Let's see what Andrew's going to do. Yes, good. Thanks, Doreen. Okay. While you're up, do you have a question for us?
Well, I want to just share that doing the homework helped me with a proposal that I was putting together, and I think I said that in my submission to you, that it really, the conversation we had on that Saturday, associating that with what I was doing and then doing this homework really secured my thinking around what I was going to do for what I was offering. Yeah, and it helped me put a price point on it. So that was just yesterday. That was good. So I sent it away, feeling quite confident that they're getting value. And I'm getting value too.
Good for you.
Anyway.
I'm sorry you're shocked, but I'm glad that you got some value from our time. I enjoyed our time. Yeah, we weren't going to tell the tribe how much we had to drink the time we spent together, but let's just say that we didn't close the place down, but they asked us 3 times, are you guys leaving yet? Okay.
Yes, I had my fill of coffee. I practically vibrated out of there. Anyway, I thought this whole process of going through was really helpful to zero in on what my expertise is, and so that's how I use this in terms of help to clarify that for me. So just putting myself in that mindset helped me do the proposals. So I can see as you work through this with Greg how now that would apply to the clients that I work with and how valuable this can be for them to do the same thing that it did for me.
Good for you. And did you come up with a positioning statement?
Well, I did. I asked the question, what is it that leaders are seeking that will give them peace of mind and confidence for decision making? And my position statement is I provide a safe, confidential environment for my clients to be present and explore what's on their mind, including what's getting in the way of them moving forward and sharing their voice, thoughts, ideas, and actions.
I like it. Can I give you some feedback?
Yes, absolutely.
2 things. I think it's very rich. You've got some good meat there. I think some of that might be at the part 2. When you see that they're interested, then you can say it as a second sentence. And the first part of the sentence, I'd like you to consider starting with the words "I specialize in," and see how that feels. You want to say it again with the words "I specialize in" and see how that feels to you.
I specialize in. Yes, I specialize.
So, well, I'm interrupting you. Sorry. Okay. So the context is we met, we talk. Being the male, of course, I'm talking the first 5 or 10 minutes, and finally I shut up long enough to say, "Oh, so what do you do?" Go ahead, and then you say to me,
I specialize in in providing a safe, confidential environment for my clients to be present and explore what's on their mind, including what's getting in the way of them moving forward.
Okay. And if we had to shorten that, what's the most important part you want to say? So I specialize in.
I'm going to use this. I specialize in reflective thinking. You said that at the beginning of this conversation today, and I went, oh, that is stellar. I specialize in providing a safe, confidential environment for reflective thinking to explore what's on your mind.
Now, you okay if I challenge you a bit on it?
Oh, sure.
Okay. You're getting in there early. How you do what you do, right? How is providing a safe environment, reflective environment. But what is the primary benefit? What do I get? So you specialize in providing.
Yeah. Well, it helps them to move forward with confidence in terms of decision making.
I specialize in helping my clients significantly improve their decision making. Process or results? depending on where you're coming from. I'm not sure. And
Well,
then the second part, you can give me a part two in terms of how you do it. 50% of the people won't care how. They'll stop right there and they'll say, oh, let me tell you about, and they'll go ahead and they'll tell you where they're bleeding above the head and shoulders. The other percentage will say, that's interesting, what do you think with the game last night? Right? Because they're not in a position of making decisions, or it's not a high value of theirs. Well, that's okay. If they're not in that position, or it's not a high value, you don't want to have a conversation with them about it, right? You want to have conversations with those folks who have the same value and or responsibility that you specialize in. They might say, oh, you should talk to George. Man, he goes on, he's carrying on all the time about all the people he has to keep happy when making it. What to me, this is a simple decision. You say, oh, tell me about that. Oh, George is, and then you say, boy, he's identifying a qualified prospect for you. Oh, so you think George could use some more nights of a full night's sleep?
yeah.
Could George use a conversation where it results in him feeling more confident in his approach and not questioning himself so much, and being able to say what he says in a more powerful way, be able to say what he says in a more positive way, depending what the person said to you. So essentially you're saying, here are ways in which I can help your buddy. Do you think that would be helpful to him? If he says no, not a qualified prospect, or it may not be a qualified. If he says yeah, he's now anxious to, let me get George. George, come here.
Reminds me of Greg's example of selling the Tribune. Hey, get them in here. Help them with the decision.
And they're bringing them in for you, right? Rather than you having to chase them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because people who have the needs that your expertise covers, they're looking for you. They're the ones who have trouble falling asleep at night, that wake up early in the morning and don't know what to do. They're the ones that have the knot in the stomach or have heartburn easily.
Yeah, that's the question, right? What is it that leaders are seeking that will give them peace of mind and confidence that they have thought through the challenges and opportunities that are before them, that will enable them to be ready to make a decision and to move to action? That was the question.
Yeah, and a couple of those I might consider putting those as statements in your audit.
Mm-hmm.
And then shorten the what do you need to, and then what is it you find where the greatest pain is for your clients? What is it you need to make more powerful decisions, more accurate decisions, more profitable decisions? And you would know better what I'd make a list of terms maybe of all the things you do provide, and what's the one or two that is a bigger category. That each of the statements would show, would break it down in smaller pieces. You want to, my car doesn't work. Okay, well, you're a car mechanic. Good. So tell me about the tires. All the tires are fine. Okay. Tell me about it starts. You know what? It doesn't start when it's cold. Okay, so they check that one out. Okay. When I hit the brakes, it eventually stops, but until after I bang the guy in front of me. Oh, say maybe the brakes. But you don't know, is it the tires, is it the brakes, is it the starting engine? And that's what each of the statements do. The statements help them describe to you where their pain, passion, and priority is. Because if they don't have an issue with the brakes, they don't want to hear you carry on 10 minutes about how you can make a huge difference in the brakes of their car. It's not important to them. They don't care how well you do it. It doesn't mean they don't need help with the brakes. It means they don't care at this point. We're dealing with the emotional involvement.
Yeah, and it came to my mind just a minute ago when you were talking. I'm working with a client around this topic of conflict, and they invited me in to do a workshop on interpersonal conflict, but they want more, but they're not sure what exactly it is their staff are identifying as conflict, because keeps coming back. What is it about conflict that? So actually creating a conflict audit would be helpful to them, I think. Okay.
And can we find out? Say, geez, George, I had a former client, or I got a colleague who had that issue, and so I developed a conflict audit for them. Do you think that's something that might be helpful for you and your team? Geez, I don't know. How about I send it to you now? You take a look at it, and we can talk about it. Sure. Okay, hang on. Click, click, click. Boom.
Well, this then, yeah, but then this also then could apply to a leadership audit. It can be, it could apply to a coaching audit. Every aspect of maybe what they want to focus on, it could actually help them to solidify what they're looking for.
You know, you keep one step ahead of me like this. Eventually, you're going to run out of things to talk about.
Thanks. Thank you, Tom. That's great.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Good for you. So, so what do you want to do with this information now? So you're going to write some audit statements?
Yes.
You're going to write, okay. You're
Yes,
going to create some audits?
I'm going to create some audits, especially while it's fresh in my mind after just talking about it and going through this. I think that this is the time. And actually, I'm speaking on the topic of leadership, and I'm going to actually put some of these questions or some of these thought-provoking statements in my speaking script. Oy, oy. So yeah, my mind's going about how I'm going to use this. Thanks.
Okay. And should we go back to the positioning statement?
Mm-hmm.
Take another kick at it?
Yeah. I specialize in assisting my clients with making decisions, making powerful decisions.
How does that feel?
Sounds great.
So why don't you say it again? We just met, and I say, so what do you do? And you say?
I specialize in helping my clients make powerful decisions.
Can you see how that might elicit some curiosity?
Absolutely. They're going to say, how do you do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I like the, specialize, putting that in there. Yeah, it's a confidence statement.
Sometimes I get lucky. Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome. If I can give you one more, when they ask you, how do you do that? We have a tendency then, let me back up my dump truck and dump all my knowledge out right now in this conversation, right? And we have a tendency to put people to sleep. Okay? My experience has been more interesting for them is if they can talk about how it relates to what they do. So, I can tell you about that as a transitional phrase and say, but can I ask you this? And you say, tell me where decisions, when you think of decisions in what you do, either personally or professionally, what comes to mind? And what you essentially say to them is, go ahead and tell me your complaints. And don't we love us to complain as people, whether I'm a principal, a CEO, a husband. Don't say that's being recorded, sorry. If I'm a brother, right? Oh my, let me tell you, you know what happens around here? Oh my God, I get in trouble. I mean, and then eventually there's going to be an element that's going to show up that you deal with in the decision-making process. And you can see, so when it gets down to two ideas, Tom, you're saying you feel like you always end up doing what the other person wants. Is that, well, if I don't keep them happy, oh, I see. So sometimes you have an issue in terms of it gets down to two options. How to come up with a better way of doing that where both parties are happy. Is that what you're saying? Well, yeah, it'd be nice if sometimes I got my way. Oh, okay. Well, that's one of the elements we talk about in terms of the decision-making process.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ah,
That might be an area that I don't do so well, is I listen to them, but this actually, I would call that sort of slippery slope where you actually turn it around to reflect on them now versus they're asking you, and now you turn it around to them, so they are the ones that are speaking and telling you what is going on for them. Mm-hmm.
And it feels slippery to you because you feel like they're asking you for an answer and you're not giving it. Is that what you mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So here's how I'd like you to consider repositioning, because that's not what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit like walking in the hospital and holding your stomach, and a surgeon comes out, and she says, "What's wrong?" You say, "Oh man, it really hurts here." And they say, "Okay, prep her for surgery. It's kidneys." Right? Where if you came in 5 minutes earlier, another surgeon would come out, and you say, "Yeah, it really hurts," and they say, "Prep her for surgery. It's gallbladder." Right? If we don't know, if you don't know what the pain is, you don't know how you can help.
Because they're generalizing. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That feels better.
So I want you to consider, because really what you're doing, you're not trying to trick anybody, you're trying to understand.
Yeah.
You don't know if you can help or not.
Okay.
That's the bottom line. So you need additional information to know whether you can be helpful.
If and how I can be helpful. Yeah.
I'll try the other line.
Okay.
Okay.
How's that feel?
That is good. I like it.
And you may even consider saying to the other person, "Gosh, Tom, does it feel like I'm being slippery here? Does it feel like I'm not answering your question?" And so if we're dealing with someone like you and they say, "Well, yeah, I asked you, how would you fix it?" And you just want to know, where else does it hurt? Yeah, well, okay. If you like, well, here's what I can tell you. If it's the gallbladder, here are the 3 stages we have to go through with you, A, B, and C. But if it's a, I don't know my anatomy, whatever else is going on down there, what else could it be? A stomach ulcer. If it's a stomach ulcer, then instead of doing this, we would do this, this, and this, because if we did this, it actually would make it worse, right? And you could go through, I mean, internal, internalists, is that the expression? They could probably spend all day telling me all the different things that could be going wrong, right? But they find it's a lot faster if they ask me some questions first.
Yeah. Yeah, you're just talking about doing a check-in with them to make sure that their needs are being satisfied as well. They're getting, something out of this.
And good for you for becoming aware of your bias. If your bias is, I want people to answer me direct, like, don't just answer the question, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's your bias. Recognize that that's because you've got a lot of knowledge in that area. But somebody else, that approach may not be as helpful for them. But if it is, you'll give it. Sure.
Well, I can address any approach, any objection by just checking in with them to make sure if they're getting what they need, and if they aren't. Yeah. Okay.
I'm hungry. Oh, let me show you how to make lasagna. Guy's standing in the corner with a can in his hand. What? And then they go, "Oh, you need some tomato sauce? Hey, hang on, let me go get the tomato sauce for you." They're running, come back with a can of tomato sauce. That's not what I mean, okay? I'm not asking you, how do I cook? Oh, okay. I'm just trying to answer your question, Johnny, okay? Can you help me with some food? Yeah. Geez, listen, in fact, I'm working on a cooking book. Give me your email address, and I should have it done in about a month, and I'll email it to you.
Well, I think you can make $1 million on relationship coaching. How people have forgotten what they mean. Yeah. Thanks.
All right. My experience has been to clarify where their pain, passion, and priority is, and the audit, I find, helps to clarify that for us. Then we know that we can customize what goes in the program. Well, I want to put in the program those things that are relevant to the people I'm speaking to, whether it's one-on-one or a group. Okay, should I back off now? I mean, are we done? Is there anything else you want?
No, that's great. I want to give someone else an opportunity. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right, who else like to get beat up? Like some help?
I'm going to pop in. Hi.
Good morning.
I'm going to share a few successes. I want to thank you very much, Tom. I put one thing into action immediately, which was that checklist. I used it twice with 2 clients. One I haven't heard back yet, and so I think I kind of overwhelmed them. So I may have been a little aggressive, not assertive. And the other one, though, absolutely loved it and has shared it with all of their team already. And we've got a call next week. So,
wow! Congratulations.
Yeah. So it's those little tweaks, right?
Amen. Yeah. So the opportunity audit. You gave me the key question plus this.
No, it wasn't the opportunity audit. It was the checklist. So I put together as well that checklist of all the things that they need to consider to help with their decision making. So all I really did was I took my process and I documented it out, which I had already because it was in a ton of my proposals. So it was a really quick thing to do, and it was there. And I'm finding the audits too, Diane. This might help you. Like what I have this all documented without even realizing it. It's your manuals, it's your learning objectives, it's your, so I'm just pulling from all of those. And so I sent to you a very generic one, but I've been breaking them down too, so those are great.
Good for you, yeah. Essentially we're saying, here's all my stuff. Here's the stuff I've written, I've created, and we're saying to them, which of these might you be interested in?
Mm-hmm.
We're doing it by statements. And they're telling us, and these are really each statement is really a category, which could be a chapter, it could be or a paragraph, depending on the importance of it and the complexity of it.
Yeah, for sure. So that's good. I don't have any particular questions right now. I've been getting a lot of really good tidbits right here at this point. So I'll pass it on to someone who has a more specific question.
Oh, good. Let me ask you this if I can. Where are you with your positioning statement?
Well, that one, I thought I had it, but after your discussion with Diane, I'm going to jump back.
Sorry, I didn't catch
pull out
that.
my notes here.
Okay.
My positioning statement, I think, changes depending on the situation.
Good, and I think that's okay. There are people that want to talk to me about coaching.
Yeah.
They don't care about sales. They don't want me to talk about sales. They want to talk about coaching. There are people that want to talk to me about sales coaching. They don't want to hear about sales. There are people that just want to know, how do I increase the sales? How can you help the team increase the sales, Tom? Go ahead.
So the one I started with was a very generic one, and one that I would speak to someone in the industry. But I think now, or with that said, I have to break them down into different, as I said, different industry, like different people you're talking to, and also based on the conversation, you could probably quickly pick up on their needs of what value. Like we do, my company has a few branches, so I'd have to develop those few branches. But so what I have here is I specialize in performance consulting, in getting to help business professionals change the way their staff communicate internally and externally.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So say it again. Go ahead.
Okay, one more time. So I specialize in performance consulting, and I help business professionals change the way they communicate internally and externally.
Okay, I like it. In first draft, I can hear you saying, and you tell me based on what you do. I specialize in performance consulting.
Mm-hmm.
By. So what word do you have after that?
by helping business professionals, sorry, I have a typo here in my notes, change the way they communicate internally and externally.
And you may look at business professionals. Can I make that a more specific group depending on who I talk to?
Yeah. So my question, I guess, in this area is that, see, I struggle because I call myself a performance consultant, and I think it's a very important term. On the advocacy side of that profession, I think it's really important to start educating people and not just calling us trainers. However, no one knows what it means. So it's my constant daily battle of do you, and I guess I should practice what I preach because I teach plain language, and I guess you speak to the reader, right? Or you speak to who you're communicating to. So I've answered my own question now, and I think I need to be changing that. Is that correct?
I like your thinking. The first idea that came to my mind is when people ask, so what do you do? Oh gosh, I can tell you what my clients call me, but I'm not sure you'll understand it.
Okay.
Well, what do you mean? Right? Now you're building curiosity.
Yeah.
Or saying, well, my clients refer to me as a performance consultant.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, quiet. And if they go, well, what do they mean? Well, and then I might give an example or two. Say, you know, or I might say, well, tell me a bit about your team. Well, they do this, this, and this. Tell me what they do well and where they get stuck. Well, they do this piece well, but they're not very good at A, B, and C. Well, you know that A, B, and stuff, A, B, and C? Well, I typically come in at companies like yours, and I develop programs so that when I'm done, next time somebody asks that, you'll say, and they do A, B, and C really well.
Yeah. Because I hate that label of trainer because we do so much more, especially we do so many non-training projects as well, and so it kind of pigeonholes, and people, I think training sometimes carries a bit of weight and stigma to it too.
I agree. Now, where I want to, if I can challenge you, can we agree there are some people that love the term trainer and they love hiring trainers because they've hired trainers. Because they've hired trainers before, their company's done so well over the years, instead of looking for a trainer. So I want to find out what language works for them.
Yeah.
The other piece you might think of is, and a portion of what we do, people typically refer to as training.
Okay.
And then I'd stop there and I'd check with them.
Yeah, that's a great point. Thanks.
All right. Good. Decide who's going to go next? Give me 1 second. I just need to shut off another phone. All right. Who's up? We're if we stick to a general 90 minutes, we're good for 9 minutes if we need the time. Who has a question and or a good news story they want to share?
Hi, this is Noreen.
Hello, Noreen. Thank you.
My question
good news.
around the key question in the audit. I had trouble with wording that.
Okay. Good. I'm glad somebody did. My gosh. I mean, your class made it sound so easy. You know how long it took me to come up with this? But anyway. All right. So go ahead. Where are you and what help do you think you need?
Well, I had an original audit that the main question at the top was, what do you need to keep your brain fit? But then it didn't work when I was talking to the person who was hiring me to do the presentation. It was more about what they needed for their attendees or their staff or whoever. So then all of the points underneath, of course, didn't follow either. So I came up with a second audit, and this one is, what do you need your group to gain as a result of improved brain health and fitness? And I feel it's awkward wording. It's not a clear
Okay.
question.
How is it compared to the first one? Do you like it better?
I think I like the first question better, but it's geared, it's aimed at a different person. All right, so in the one case, it's for the attendees. It's simple. What do they need to keep their brain fit? The second one is geared towards the person who's making the decision. It's sort of like what Greg was talking about with principles.
Okay, so the decision maker, can you give me more specifics? What's the role of, what does the decision maker do?
Well, it varies. It could be a committee who is putting together something at work for their staff. It could be the conference coordinator who's getting session leaders.
Okay.
So what, I guess in a way, a big part of what their need is they want a presenter that everybody's going to be happy with. And they may or may not even care what the topic is.
And your question is?
So how do I word the question?
Good for you. Okay, good for you. It starts by keep going. You were going to say something else.
Well, I had included in my key question a bit about what I was going to be offering. For example, improved brain health and fitness.
Mm-hmm.
But they might not necessarily agree with the key question if what they want is a speaker that keeps everybody awake for an hour after lunch.
And can we agree that, what, 60%, 80% of your audit might be the same?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. In fact, a lot of the questions are similar, just worded a little differently, but same point.
So the statements, and
yes.
the key question followed by a series of statements. So it may be that you have half a dozen audits with you, and based on where the direction of the conversation, you know which one to pull out.
Okay.
How does that feel?
It feels okay. For me, it was a challenge coming up with all of these statements, but as you say, the statements are the same. You just need different questions at the top, the key question.
What do you think?
Yeah, that would work.
Give me a scenario. Give me two different scenarios, and we'll see if it makes sense to you. So scenario one is the client calls and says what?
Our association is having a conference in Winnipeg this year, and we were looking for a speaker on the Saturday afternoon.
Okay.
Perhaps they had seen something on my website, or they had been to the CAPS website or something, and something there piqued their curiosity.
So you typically would ask what?
I usually start off by finding out about their group and why they contacted me, how
I
they
like
heard
it.
about me.
Good. So what made you decide to call me? Oh, I saw your website. Oh, what was it about the website that attracted me? Uh, can we agree
So
at
are
that point?
those the kinds of questions that you put right in the audit? Like, to me, that's just small talk.
Well, what I'm looking for, I agree it's also small talk, but what we want to discover is in a sense, let's say the speaker is the ice cream cone. So they're coming up to your booth and you sell ice cream. And they need some ice cream for after lunch. You want to know what flavor of ice cream they're looking for because you're going to give them a chance to taste it. And you don't want them to taste something, a flavor that you chose, because it might be a flavor they hate. So you're essentially you want to discover what flavor are you considering? What flavor are you thinking of? Well, they called you, so there was something on your website they saw. There was a word or a phrase or a concept or a subheading. They said, well, there's something here about the brain fitness. That kind of got me curious. Oh, what do you mean, Mary? Tell me about that. Oh, because we're really interested in, we have a high value in, we talk a lot about, or I've discovered that some of my people it feels like they're getting lazy in their thinking, that they're making some basic mistakes that I think they should be able to handle, or I'd like to see them get better at because the last year we had these 2 instances, and I think if we responded differently, the end result would have been better, right? They could go in any number of a whole bunch of different directions. So by asking questions, we're finding out what is it that triggered them. So again, I'm going back to, I want to discover pain, passion, priority. Where are they at? Doesn't mean they're married to it, but where are they at right now? Because something moved them enough for them to have the conversation with me, either because they called or they accepted my call.
Okay.
And then if I have 4 major flavors or 6 major flavors, and you see it's easier, they say, well, I have a number of different flavors. Do you have a flavor in mind? No, I don't know. I don't know what's available. Well, we have vanilla, chocolate, strawberry, and raspberry. Well, I'm not sure which one I'll like. How would you like a taste of one? I think that would make a difference. What if we had the team taste it beforehand? Would that make a difference? What do you mean? I have an audit that has 1 question on it that allows them to check off the items that would be relevant for them, would be important for them. Or I'd use her language. She says, I want something that really turns them on. So I have an audit that has 12 items on it, 25 items on it, and allows us to check off, allows them to check off the ones that really turn them on. If we got that to them, and then I got those results back to you, can you see now that we know these are the 4 or 6 areas that really turn them on, would that help you decide in terms of the kind of speaker you needed, the kind of background and experience she has that you'd want her to have in order to speak to your group? Yeah, well, that's part of the service I provide. And if it's not me, I've got 500 colleagues across the country that I could refer to you.
Okay, that's great. I like that. I can work with that for sure.
So you're focused on discovering, and you're looking for opportunities to make a goodwill deposit. These are 2 primary purposes. You want to discover you want to discover so you can more fully understand her pain, passion, and priority. This would be step 1. Step 2 is you want to be able to communicate that in a way that she feels like you understand better than I just talked to her and she says, Tom was pushing, he wants to do this thing. Boy, she's really trying to understand where I'm coming from. I think she understands better where I'm coming from, what I'm looking for. And then third is I want to see if I can make a goodwill deposit by saying I could customize more clearly, more quickly, and more completely because I developed this tool. Take all the 90 seconds for your team to fill it out, and they can do it anonymously, so we increase the chances of getting accurate responses. And then I share those results with you. Oh, what's that going to cost me? Well, Mary, there's no charge for all that, because right now I'm not 100% sure I'm the right speaker for you. This will help us discover together if which is the right topic, and if I'm the right speaker for that topic. And hey, you can't use me this year. Maybe you use me next year. I'll be hungry a year from now.
Yes. Good.
Is that true?
Yes.
Right. So you take the pressure off them. You relax them. They're worried about, you're going to try to slam close a dunk, slam dunk a close. Say, no. One thing I know about me, my wife says to me, much as I enjoyed the meal now, 24 hours from now, I'm going to be hungry again. Right? So a month from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, I mean, when are you going to hire your next speaker? Well, we hire speakers every month. Well, it doesn't work out now. Maybe you use me in 3 months, 6 months. Or we hire one speaker a year. Well, Mary, gosh, I don't know about you, but I know a year from now I'm going to be hungry. I'll be looking for work. If I can make a goodwill deposit and help you by matching up with somebody who's a better fit this year, maybe you'll take a look at me next year. And you're demonstrating who you are, which is you're reasonable, you're reflective, you want to help them think through their issue. You're showing them you're a team player, but you're demonstrating initiative.
Good. Good. Thank you.
Does that feel like you?
Yes. Yeah.
So why would you want to hide it, right?
Yeah.
The short version is, the more you treat the person you're dealing with the way you treat your good friends, the more quickly she's going to like you, trust you, and feel like she knows you. And for the few that don't, we get to find that out sooner as well. They'll say, you know what, not a good fit here. Thanks very much. Say, okay, appreciate it. If I can help, you got my number. And we move on. But mostly, they're going to like you. Mostly, they're going to get a feel for your caring. They're going to get a feel for your intellectual prowess, your curiosity, your depth of knowledge. We typically can tell the depth of knowledge of the other person by the quality of questions they ask. That help?
Yes.
Oh, good, because I'm out of ideas. Okay, all right. Let me, if I can do this. We are over. Oh, geez. Oh, geez. I'll tell you, one of my favorite things I like to do is best idea you picked up from today. And we go around and you get to hear. I won't put you on the spot today. Too, I kept you over, but I'd love it if you want to. Maybe we'll set up a either a LinkedIn private page or Facebook page, or maybe somebody can send me something that they think that we could use, where we could do some chatting. And let me encourage you to share with us the best idea you picked up from today, whether it was our conversation, whether it was listening to one of your colleagues, something they said that might have made a difference. And would you like to do this again? I'll ask that as the group for you to. You can respond in writing if you want to do that again. If you like to do we did today. I'll be better organized. Okay, I'll make some decisions before I get on the phone. I still haven't shared with you the three steps of building a referral-based business. It'll be our third time together, and I still haven't shared the backbone of what it is I teach. That'll give me time to make something up. All right. thanks very much, folks, for the time. Thanks for coming. Thanks for playing. Thanks very much for sharing, because other people get to hear the issues you have, and when they hear what you're going through, they're going, geez, my problems aren't so bad after all. I appreciate that. Thanks, folks. I'll look forward to seeing if you're interested in doing this next week, and we'll make that decision in the next 24 hours or so. How's that? Bosch, Prince? Anders, anything you want to say before we say goodbye? Okay. Great. Okay. Thanks, guys. Have a good one. All right. Bye-bye.